All right. So we're gonna do things a little different. More like the traditional way. Like how pastors have a sermon and stuff like that. So I got sermons in place now. So once I get with Eli, because I know he occupied at the moment. He gonna be my reader still or whatever, but it's gonna be just different. So we're not necessarily reading stories out the book. I might just pull passages. I might pull certain scriptures. Might be a couple chapters. It all just depends. You might just get a day where it's precept upon precept. But when we start talking on the church on Saturdays, everything is going to be about like something for your daily life. Whether it helps you today, whether it helps you tomorrow, but things you think about in your daily life. I know I do give y'all a lot of information, but I don't know how much you can use it necessarily every day in a singular life. So this is what church is specifically going to be for, to do things in everyday life, right? So then the Bible study, that would go into a different type of study where it's just like breaking down scriptures, giving you an understanding of what took place in this particular story. Whether it's Adam and Eve, whether it's Paul, whether it's Christ, that's what the Bible study is going to be for. And then we still going to have the feast, and the feast is always going to be on a bigger topic, more broader for everybody. Could be something worldly related today, could be not. But that's the new format away. So also too, once the YouTube thing is fully up, we're not going to be on here no more doing church. Bible study will still be on the WhatsApp because I'm not going to broadcast the Bible study over the YouTube, but because then everybody's going to be reading and participating in Bible study, so it's a little different. And you wouldn't be able to do that on YouTube, but on church, it's going to be a link in the room, and it's going to be a link because I think most of y'all already, I think all y'all follow the church page. It's going to be a link in the church room, and it's going to be a link also on the website, which y'all will see today. It's finally done, so y'all see that in a few hours. If not, before the sun go down, y'all see it, and then you'll see everything on the thing on the website. The website going to have all the holy days on it. It's going to have all the Bible study days, the church days. Now, the church days and the Bible study days, they're only in 3-month increments. So if you go past a 3-month increment where you don't see no more, you're not going to see it, but it's not fit up for the whole year. But the holy days have all the holy days posted out from here all the way until the end of the year. So that will be on there. And then, like I said, they got information of all sorts or whatever. Information of all sorts on the website. Like I said, so next week church should be on YouTube. So now when you do have your little questions and your comments and stuff, it's going to be a chat. That's why all y'all, if you got a YouTube subscription or whatever, you want to post them in there. So that way it isn't all this, confronting and stuff like that. Church still going to be at 10. Still going to have the space from 10 to 10:15. The little grace period for everybody to come in, so that's different. Another thing is on church on the feast days, we not eating first because everybody be eating. I know y'all get the itis, y'all got 4-5 plates like y'all ain't never had. Y'all be starving yourselves to death. Nah, we're not doing that no more. So we're gonna read first. You know what I'm saying? We'll keep the food warm for y'all, but we're gonna read first and do all that. Maybe like an hour and 30 or so, give or take. And then we eat. So now I'm starting all the feast days early. I think the one said Purim was 1:30, but I might just change it to 1 o'clock just to be safe. But we're going to start everything earlier. And I'm going to broadcast that on YouTube as well or whatever. But everything that's going to be changing as well. And then tithes, you know what I'm saying? Not trying to take nobody's money, but like I said, tithe always help out. I know everybody don't got money, and you don't got to pay a 10% of your paycheck. I ain't asking you for that. I know it's crazy out here. Gas, since Trump became president, or not before he became president, but like within the last 2 weeks, gas went up almost like a whole $1. It was like $2.75 like a couple weeks ago. I looked at it's like $3.40 now. Like, what's going on? But whatever, that's cool. It ain't no biggie or whatever, but I know y'all can't give much. So, like, at least for the minimum, can you give it like, I guess like $50 a month, whether it's $50 or $100 a month, whatever, but at least 50. I feel like if you can do 50, you can't do 50, you can do 25, you know what I'm saying? But the money is used to like help the website, you know what I'm saying, run stuff what I need for the website, is to get more items and get things for the church. So like later in the year, when we do tabernacles, I actually want to do that. I want to get a place where we can actually be in booths and doing things, like things like that to, have a bigger setting in the venue, because as the church grows, I know I can't keep, we can't just keep all being in this smaller setting or whatever. But like I said, that helps contribute. And then I guess I'll talk about Purim after I do the lesson or whatever. But that's just pretty much of a gist of what's going on and all the, like I said, the new changes or whatnot for the church. Right, so today we're going to read Isaiah 57, and this talks about idolatry and what they were doing back in this time, which is still which is still relevant today, as far as about how we get away from God and we into idolatry, because idolatry comes in so much forms because it's something that you're putting before God. So that's what we're going to read today. But like I said, after we done church, I'm going to talk about Purim a little bit to give people a little better understanding. But everything should be explained on the website. But like I said, you'll see the website. Feel free to share to other people. If you got any, I guess, comments about the website, anything you think should be changed or done differently, we'll take that consideration. It's going to have a contact list, email list, stuff like that. You personally, you can always text me or whatever through the WhatsApp, because it's going to have like a little chat where you can, text me when you're going to do some fellowship. It's going to have all that. You'll see the website, explore, and the website is going to constantly add stuff on there. So like right now, ain't no videos up there because I ain't started posting those yet, but I'll post those eventually. And then, like I said, as you explore the website, you'll see and understand like the gist of what I'm doing. It's more like a learning website, even though it's still church, still got the church aspect. Cause I think church is about learning. We should always be learning about God, but it's most definitely like a aspect of like a school, So I got to get with a couple of my brothers so they can put their aspect into it. I believe that some of them are teachers too and have a lot of knowledge, and we can do it that way. So we're on Isaiah 57. So I'm gonna say a prayer, and then I'm gonna start reading. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, and forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For that is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. All right, so it says Isaiah 57, Israel's futile idolatry and no peace for the wicked. So the first verse starts off, it says, the righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart, and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. He shall enter into peace, they shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness, right? So this is talking about how people who are righteous, who are actually doing good out here, or at least they was back then, right? They were doing good, and nobody's like really mourning for them or caring about the ones that died, because they're not part of what the mix is going on, right? So people be like, oh, I like God, I do this for God, X, Y, Z, but they talking with their lips, but it's not in their heart. Same thing when she asked a question about the envious things, right? You can do things, but that doesn't mean it's from your heart. That don't mean you genuinely want to do it. That don't mean you genuinely want to sacrifice your time to, do those things, right? And God refers to the kids that don't care about them, or I'm not saying kids, but the people that don't care about them, the children of transgression, as we read, right? So verse 3, it says, but draw near hither, ye sons of the sorcerers, the seed of the adulterer and the whore, against whom do ye sport yourselves, against whom make you a wide mouth and draw out the tongue? Are you not children of transgression, a seed of falsehood, inflaming yourselves with idols under every green tree, slaying the children in the valleys, under the cliffs of the rocks? Among the smooth stones of the stream is thy portion. They are thy lot. Even to them hast thou poured a drink offering. Thou hast offered a meat offering. Shall I receive comfort in these? Upon a lofty and high mountain hast thou set thy bed. even thither wentest thou up to offer sacrifice. Behind the door also in the post hast thou set up thy remembrance, for thou hast discovered thyself to another than me, and art gone up. Thou hast enlarged thy bed, and made thee a covenant with them. Thou lovest their bed where thou sawest it. And thou wentest to the king with ointment, and didst increase thy perfumes, and didst send thy messengers far off, and didst debase thyself even unto hell. Thou art weary in the greatness of thy way, yet sayest thou not, there is no hope. Thou hast found the life of thy hand, therefore thou wast not grieved. And of whom hast thou been afraid or feared, that thou hast lied, and hast not remembered me, Lord, laid it to thy heart? Have not I held my peace even of old, and thou fearest me not? Excuse me. I will declare thy righteousness and thy works, for they shall not profit thee. Right? So this is God talking. This is God talking to about the children of transgression, right? And this is from Isaiah. So as they're speaking, he's telling him that y'all doing all these things, right? Because to us, God is like the husband, right? We the bride, right? So he's telling him you're doing all these things, right? You're going out here, you're making sacrifices, you're doing all these offerings, and God is like, am I supposed to have comfort in these? So to get an understanding, it's almost like if you got a spouse, or let's say you on a team or something, right? And then someone on your team goes to the other team and doing stuff with the other team, right? Mind you, your team is the one feeding you, it gave you a jersey, all this. So like I said, just in a wife and a man sense, I'm the one taking care of you, XYZ. And then you go over to another person, right? And when you go to the other person, you're doing all these things like, yeah, but mind you, you still love me, you still say you love me, you still believe in me, you still come home, you still do stuff for me, but you also are doing stuff for the other person, right? But you also want me to kind of have comfort. It's like, well, why can't I do both? Not realizing that without me, there is none of them, right? So in God's sense, it's a little different than a particular person like cheating on their spouse, but that's just one understanding of it, because God is everything. That's why he feels some kind of way when you go worship other gods or you do all these things, because now you're doing all this as if he don't exist, but not realizing they don't even exist without him, right? So you worshiping the creation more than the creator. So even like today, as we are out and we're about, mingling amongst people, going out to venues, watching shows, whatever, it's not saying that these things are necessarily bad, right? Because you can find good in everything, right? But if it does have bad, it's not really good. Just like the tree, good and evil, right? It do got good, but also got evil. Compared to the tree of life, it don't. It's just straight good, right? So now, like I said, where do you put yourself at when these things happen? Are you idolizing your video game? Are you idolizing sports characters? Are you idolizing movie stars? Are you idolizing, I don't know, somebody in your house? Are you idolizing your parents? I mean, it doesn't have to be somebody of celebrity status, but are you idolizing these things, right? People die all the time, like celebrities, right? They'll die. And people are like, oh man, the world's going crazy, such and such died. But, people die every day. Your next door neighbor could have died or whatever. And they could have been this righteous person that God was speaking about in verse 1 and 2. But like I said, is your heart the same felt for them? Like people that went to Nipsey's funeral, I don't even know everybody knew him, because clearly it's people that went there that didn't know him, but he's like a celebrity, he's a star, he's an idol, right? You got to worship him, right? Or you don't have to, but that's what they're doing. You got to worship him. But did you go to, like I said, Mr. Johnson or Miss Green or whoever that died recently? Did you go to that? Did you go to them? You know what I'm saying? Did you stop to think about these people and what they've done? You start thinking about like what's their contribution to God, right? So like when you go up more here, it talks about the children. What verse we in? All right, so verse 8 it says, verse 5. It says, inflaming yourself with idols under every green tree, slaying the children in the valley under the cliffs of the rocks. So they were killing children, sacrificing children and things like that. And they're doing this because this is part of the rituals they got to do to get certain things. They were sacrificing the Moloch, stuff like that. They're getting certain things, but this also comes with selfishness, right? Because the idols that you worship, they don't like you either, right? But you don't know that, right? You just still worship him and do what they do. So they'll make you do bad things to make you go against God. That's their whole purpose, to make you go against God, right? So you're doing things, whether you're getting, you deleting the baby, or you sacrificing one of your own, right? You doing these things, but when you rethink about it, it comes back to what you said about the envy and stuff. You're doing this for all self-gain. This is all self-gain. You don't care about nobody. Everything you've done is for yourself, right? So there couldn't be no love of what you're doing, because it's all about yourself. You got to question everything. You got to do this, but you're not questioning because you care about learning. You're not questioning because you care about others. You're not questioning because you want to better what's going around your friends, your family, the church, whatever, your job. You're questioning because you figure out what's best for you, right? So now you ain't got no sacrifice, because you willing to sacrifice only if you gain. But when you're dealing with God, that's not how it works. The sacrifice comes from you not gaining what you want to gain. You gain what God wants you to gain through his glory, right? So if you become a pastor, right, you may not be able to do stuff what everybody's been doing, but that's not what you in here for. You in it for God's glory, to help God do what God wants you to do, right? This is for God's sake, to spread the gospel, to help win souls. So you may lose sports, you may lose this, you may lose that, and some people on the outside are like, dang, bro, I'm not about to give that up, or I'm not about to do that, right? But you do that not realizing that's a form of idolatry, right? When it says that the nations committed fornication, the nations isn't literally committing fornication far as like, I guess like in a sexual act. Even though they do sexual acts, the word fornication is also responding in a spiritual matter. Because like I said, if God will be our God, but you're messing with other gods, that's spiritual fornication. Like I said, it's adultery, fornication, whatever you want to call it, right? It's the same thing. It's just done on a spiritual level. Just like I said, just like idolatry. If you, like I said, you sacrificing so much for yourself, you know what I'm saying, what would you do for somebody else? All right. I was watching, it was a TikTok video about a comedian, and he was he said he don't like dating single mothers, right? Nothing against single mothers, but he said the ones with high standards. And this made a lot of sense. She said that she wanted him to love her child, not his. She got a separate child, right? Love her child like it was one of his own, right? But mind you, this child is not your child. The child don't call you dad. The child doesn't have that respect for you because the child still has his own dad, right? But he said to his children, like, you know what I'm saying, which my friends say, they'll die for their kids. Like, you know what I'm saying, if it was meant for their life, they would die for their kids so their kids be better. You want me to die for somebody who isn't my own, who don't even look at me like that my kids look at me? It would make sense. Same thing in the God sense. God wants you to do everything for him, but you willing to do stuff for other people. It just that just wouldn't make no sense, right? Because when you think about it, who's giving you your all and what you giving your all for? Like I said, is it all for you? Is it all for your brother? Is it all for your mother? Is it all for God? Everything should be for all for God. And when you give everything to God, what comes next, right? The blessing that you're supposed to get will be there, right? Yeah, you may go through turmoil, but it's different when you go through turmoil with God compared to when you go through turmoil without God, right? It's a big difference. So like right here in verse 8, it says, behind the doors, also in the post, as thou set up thy remembrance, for thou hast discovered thyself to another than me, and are gone up. Thou hast enlarged thy bed, and made thee a covenant with them. Thou lovest their bed where thou sawest. So it's talking about enlarging our bed, right? We're talking about you are dealing with more than what you think you are, right? So let's say you have a problem, right, with sin. Like I think the guy, I want to say it's in the book of Luke. I could be wrong though. So this guy, he has demons, right? And the demons he gets rid of them, right? So let's say you got a demon of lust, right? So now you're not lusting no more. No more girls, X, Y, Z. Well, that demon goes to others and be like, look, I got a person we can get, but I can't get him because he ain't messing with me right now because I don't, the lust thing. He ain't looking at girls, or is a girl looking at dudes? They're not doing all that. But I think he like gambling. So what you gonna do is get him to gamble, right? But when he gamble, it actually opened the door back up. And when the door opened back up for gambling, then everything come back into it. So now your bed can get bigger because you land with more demons now, right? Not realizing, thinking you shut down one, but you open yourself up to something else. But if you was with God, there wouldn't be no opening. And that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? Why would you be in bed with somebody else, not realizing this bed that you in It's not a bed of safety. It's not a bed of comfort, right? It may feel like that because you're temporarily going off fleshly desires, but this bed isn't in that sense to where it's, oh yeah, this is where a good place I should be. It's not going to be like that. You're going to endow yourself in more problems, right? Like I said, you become like people. Let's say you're a liar, right? When you lie, now you run from people. Now you hide it. Now you owe people. So much stuff came from just you lying. Same thing will come from, you dealing in bed with another God, right? So much will come from it because, like I said, you open yourself up to it. Same thing about like the alphabet people. If they wanted to go live their life and do their thing, that's cool. But they don't realize the ideology behind it. It opens the doors. Like I think I spoke to y'all before about it, but there's a guy who's a white guy, and he said he's Asian. He's Asian in heart, right? And they said that's crazy. You're not Asian. You're not this and that. But the alphabet opened that door, because if you can be who you want to be and be any gender and all this other stuff, then he can be who he want to be, and there's no difference, right? But they don't realize when you open, they call it Pandora's box. When you open Pandora's box, all the evils come out. That's what the Pandora's box, like the history of the origins, like all the evils in the world is in it. Supposedly Solomon put them all in the box or whatever. But that's what's happening. All the evils come out now. You don't just get to pick and choose which evils you get to shut down. If you open the box, everything come out, right? And you don't have nothing. You don't have nothing necessarily to stop it, right? So then God talks about like the peace, right? About how he holding his peace back, and they're looking at him like, oh, why would you do this? So it's almost like, since I'm not punishing y'all, it's okay. So when we read verse 9, right, it says, and thou wentest to the king with ointment, and didst increase thy perfumes, and did send thy messengers far off, and didn't debase thyself even unto hell. It says, thou art weary in the greatness of thy way, yet sayest thou not, there is no hope. Thou hast found the life of thy hand, therefore thou wast not grieved. And of whom hast thou been afraid or feared? That thou hast lied and hast not remembered, nor laid it to thy heart? Have not I held my peace even of old, and thou fearest me not? I will declare thy righteousness and thy works, for they shall not profit thee. So God's like, well, you can't fear me because I'm telling you something and you still not doing it, right? And I can speak for myself. I didn't fear my mom, so certain things she's like, yeah, do this and that. I'm like, I ain't doing that. Why? Not because unless I have respect for her, but I don't fear her to the point where, like I said, because there's not severe punishment coming behind it. And he speaks on that right there on verse 11. It says, have not I held my peace even of old, and thou fearest me not? So what he's saying is, now you taking my kindness for weakness, because even though I'm sparing you, I'm giving you grace and I'm giving you mercy, you still choose to do this as if I won't punish you, because the punishment's not right away. So this is another way you get open up to sin, right? You're constantly doing sin. And I'm not saying you're not going to sin, not going to struggle, right? But if you struggle, you talk to God about it. You struggle, talk to the congregation, see what's going on, see if it can be helped. But you don't constantly just keep willingly sin and not having no remorse for it, no sign to show repentance, none of those things, right? Because at any given time, God could punish me. So all the things I've done, he could punish me right now, strike me with a lightning, give me a heart attack, whatever, right? But he's giving me grace and mercy. Every breath I take, every step I take is grace and mercy. Without me having that, right? Without me having any type of punishment and consequences, I keep doing it. Say that like a criminal. They'll do it, steal something, got away with it. Steal something else, get away with it, right? They keep going forward doing those things because there's no punishment. Now, when the punishment comes down, and let's say it's his first time offense, oh, it's hard, X, Y, Z. I had some friends, I'm not going to speak on them. They did something, and one of my friends' mother was like, this is crazy. They trying to lock them up. I'm like, your son's stealing, though, right? It's crazy how it comes back when it's all about you, or when it's not, saying it's all about you, it's a different compared to when it's outside. We call that hypocrites, right? When you can talk about somebody and do something about somebody so long and not realize, hey, that was bad, man. You shouldn't have did this or you shouldn't have did that. Not understanding that's a hypocritical act, because if it's wrong, it's wrong. It don't matter if I do it, don't matter if you do it, it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Wrong is wrong even when nobody ain't around. Right is right when ain't nobody around. It doesn't have to have a person to validate it, right? But then when you allow that, now you're playing the game. You're playing the game of the judgments or what. So God is like, well, I haven't gave y'all no wrath. That's what y'all want. Because maybe if I do that, that's when y'all wake up. But I'm actually trying to give y'all grace and mercy because I know that y'all better than this. And I know y'all can do these, but y'all take my kindness of weakness. So you know what y'all do? Oh, man, I got to keep on sinning. And then y'all proceed to keep on sinning, right? Y'all proceed to keep doing these things because there is no punishment. Now I realize that now you kind of like playing with God as if he won't punish you. You know what's going to happen? He's going to let y'all live in all that, right? Because now that time that he letting y'all live in it, it's actually the grace and mercy for you to get it right. And if you don't get it right, you're going to die in that, right? And when you die in that, you're probably going to hell. Just what it is, what it is. It's not to be harsh or anything like that, but that just is what it is. Am I going to hell? I don't know. I don't want to, but I don't know. Because if I constantly decide to go against God, he can punish me for anything. When I stole some sodas when I was younger, he can punish me for that. Anything I do that's sinful, I'm cursing, whatever I'm doing that's bad, adultery, fornication, lust, all that stuff, I can get punished for any of it. So I know I'm not saved because of my deeds, but that don't mean I don't do deeds and, keep going right. But I know I got to stay away from the idolistic things. At work, they want me to come to a party. I'm like, nah, because that ain't just me. Because I know me and I know what I'll be around. I'm exposed to other things. So I can't put myself in danger. I can't put myself around things that I know is not going to be good. You know what they tell me? I'm boring, and this and that. And it's cool. I'd rather be bored. I mean, I had fun. I did my, my dirt or whatever. I had fun. But to be boring is cool because it's not because it's boring, right? I'm not necessarily bored neither. They think I'm bored, but I'm not bored. But I'm cool because I feel that's what God want me to do. He want me to keep me safe. He want me to keep going because in order for me to help him, do what he want me to do, I got to listen to him. I can't just go against God and do these certain things. So why would I put myself in danger? Because now that messes up God's plan. Not really messes up because God can still use your bad for good, but I'm messing up my own life, right? And I look at God like, dang, God, why would you, harm me? But not realizing if I just kept doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to be good. But I chose to do what they're doing. So now there's a setback. Got to be a penalty, for them actions, right? So I'm going to read verses 13 through 21. I'm going to talk about those. So this is the high and lofty Lord. It says, when thou criest, let thy companies deliver thee, but the wind shall carry them all away. Vanity shall take them, but he that putteth his trust in me shall possess the land, and then shall inherit my holy mountain. And shall say, cast ye up, prepare the way, take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place with him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. For I will not contend forever, neither will I be always wroth. For the spirit should fail before me, and the souls which I have made. For the iniquity of his covetousness was I wroth, and smote him. I hid me and was wroth, and he went on frowardly in the way of his heart. I have seen his ways, and will heal him. I will lead him also, and restore comfort unto him, and to his mourners. I create the fruit of the lips, peace to him that is far off, and to him that is near, saith the Lord, and I will heal him. But the wicked are like the troubled sea, when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mere and dirt. There is no peace, saith my God, to the wicked, right? So the wicked, there is no rest, right? Because, hey, they got work to do, right? And that's all they want to do. But it's because of that freedom, right? They don't have that peace and stuff because they're not with God. Because in reality, when you're with God, I mean, you're a slave. I told my friend the other day, I told him I'm a slave. He's like, I ain't no slave. I said, well, technically you are. Whether you God's slave or Satan's slave, you a slave. If you're not nobody's slave, let's say you're free. Cool, no problem. It's kind of dangerous to be in that world because now there's like teams and you're not strong enough to combat either team. You may think you're battling the devil, but you're probably losing, which most likely you are. And let's say you're battling God because you go against God, you're still losing, right? Because you're never going to have them peace. Like it's talking about the waters don't stop, right? Like a troubled sea, the waters is always moving, it's constant. there is no calm out there, right? The water's got to move constantly, so the water don't freeze, and it got salt water in and stuff like that. But it's constantly moving. So just think about it. If you constantly moving, can you hear God? If you constantly doing things and always running around, you don't take no time to talk to God. Can you hear God? He might be trying to talk to you all the time, which I think he is. But if you're not listening, how would you know, right? Because you're so constant in doing things in wickedness, and right? And mind you, people are like, oh, well, I ain't doing this, or I ain't doing evil. It's like, yeah, but like I said, idolatry comes in many forms, and that's why it's dangerous. It's not necessarily you going out killing children. It's not necessarily you going out and, raping girls or whatever. You're not doing all these bad things. You're constantly doing things that keep it from God, that has no profit to you. See, now, as I look at God and I look in the spirit, I think about it and I question, is it profitable to me? You know what I'm saying? My job had food the other day, and I had my own food, and I could take some home, but I'm like, last time I ate it kind of helped me not get sick, but I can tell that it's not as clean as the food I've been eating. Nah, I'm good. So it's not that I couldn't eat it. It wasn't unlawful food. It wasn't like it was stuff, but it wasn't really profitable to me. Like, I'm going through a detox, that's not profitable to me. As much as it seemed pleasing and stuff like that, that's not profitable to me. But let's say I gave into that, right? Not even say that's the same, but let's say I gave into that, right? Then it shows that I might give into other things, because now I'm not strong. I can't hold myself together, right? I'm always giving into the flesh. Oh man, that Outback, it tastes so good, man, that bread and that butter, which it does. I'm not saying it doesn't taste good, but I had made my food. I was already prepared. God blessed me for what I had, so I'm grateful for what I had. I was able to eat. People did offer me food that didn't eat that. Even on the next day, like, did you bring your lunch? I was like, yeah, I brought my lunch. So even still, God will look out for me and put me in a position to excel, to progress, and keep going forward. But the real thing is, do I accept that? Am I cool with that? Am I content? And a lot of people aren't content with it. And that's why, like I said, that's where the idolatry kick in. So you want to participate in all these things, and you want to do so much, and you judge somebody else. Oh man, y'all stand outside line for Jordans, man, that's crazy. But then turn around, y'all stand outside line for iPhones, or you standing outside line for this or that. It's like give and take, because it's a hypocrite. A hypocrite, like I said, is one of the worst kind of people, because the hypocrite is literally doing what they're shaming you for, right? And I was telling Eli the other day, I said the problem with this world is that there is no shame. People don't have shame in what they do. Like, it's okay to be a 304, or it's okay to, do friends dirty and stuff like that. And the problem is that stuff is glorified and glossed over because of the person. So let's say I'm a top celebrity, right? And I'm making all this money or whatever, but I'm a crackhead. I do crack, right? They're still going to glorify me. Oh man, he's just struggling, or he's doing this, because they like my music, they like my songs, they like my concerts, all that. But let's say it's a next door dude named Mark, and Mark is a crackhead. They're going to shame Mark, right? Mark is, he's the worst kind of person. So now you're not even being righteous and being just, because you're basing this off of status, celebrity, but it's a form of idolatry. You put me on a pedestal. And I'll give you an example. They say the music today is bad, right? The music back then was just as bad, right? I was trying to explain that the other day, and I was like, yeah, they have bad songs as well, but I said, depending on how it's wrote, how the song's written, how it's glossed over, it can be considered a bad song or a good song. So my friend yesterday sent me a Bobby Womack song, right? And it was like, I wish he didn't trust me so much. And he's talking about being left with a man's wife. And when the dude trusts him, give him his shit off his back, all that. And he leaves to go out of town, and Bobby Womack is having a relationship with this man's wife, right? Come to find out, I found out this morning that the person was Sam Cooke's wife, which is even crazier. So it's like, dang, you were sleeping with, and Sam Cooke put you on. Like, Sam Cooke is the reason why you were even a star. And then I think Cooke dies, and he winds up marrying his wife. And then later down the road, he divorces Sam Cooke's wife because she found out he was cheating on her with their daughter. Well, it was crazy. Well, not their daughter, but with, I guess, Sam Cooke's daughter. She was like 17, 18 years old. He was cheating on her with her. So it's just like, yeah, but just think about, he will still be revered as a good person or a good artist because of his music, right? But then, like I said, the person next door, they done that same thing, It's not classified like that. That's idolatry. Because now you can put somebody above somebody. You put somebody above God's rules. We all under God's rules. You rich, you gonna die, you going in the box. You poor, you die, you going in the box. You rich, you can go to heaven. You poor, you can go to heaven. You rich, you can go to hell. You poor, you can go to hell. God don't care about none of that, right? When it comes to being a respect of a person, he's talking about how the law works. I can't treat you differently because you're a celebrity, or I can't do you this because of that. That's considered idolatry in any form of the matter. So even if you're not dealing with quote unquote spirits, idolatry can still be a thing even amongst people. You know, people at work may be at your job, may like, oh well, yeah, he the boss, so nothing he can do is wrong. The boss coming into work late, I'm breaking all the rules. I've seen it in so many jobs, breaking all the rules, but since he the boss, it don't matter. I was at a job, a dude, he smoking weed on the job, and I'm like, this can't be legal. But he like, oh, I got my pee, and you know, they come test me, I wish they would, and this and that, but that's crazy. But then he'll tell me not to do something while he's clearly doing something illegal. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? But he above me. So now people will look at him as somebody in high regards. And if he's in high regard, they're going to take up for him before they take up for me, right? So God is also reaching out to the ones who are not doing these things, right? So in verse 13 it says, when thou criest, let thy comings deliver thee, but the wind shall carry them all away. Vanity shall take them, but he that putteth his trust in me shall possess the land and shall inherit my holy mountain. So God's already telling you, when you do these things, God will give you stuff, right? He'll bless you. You know, at this time you're talking about the land, but he'll do these things, but you're not realizing you don't get these things because it could be somebody in your way. It could be your brother, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your son, you know. But what happens is we so in tune to the flesh, we forget about God, right? And you forget about the connection or relationship with God, and you make one with people. And while you're doing this, right, you actually doing idolatry, right? Because you didn't go through God first. Because God could just tell you, hey, leave your son alone for 2 years. He got to get it together. That may hurt you. Be like, oh, man, I got to leave you alone for 2 years. But if you keep going the way you're going, right, not realizing this could be your detriment, right? This could be your demise. Not saying your son going to kill you, whatever, but this could be the reason that's holding you back at the moment because you done put so much into him. Now, yeah, you're not on your knees. You're not worshiping him. You don't got no statues, stuff like that. But like I said, idolatry comes in so many different forms. And they real slick with it. A show called American Idol. You're not supposed to have no idols. That's one of the 10 rules. You're not supposed to have no idols. But they have a show called American Idol, and everybody go crazy, voting for people who can't even sing. Still, it's a crazy world, right? And then when it goes on to verse 14 and 15, it says, and shall say, cast ye up, prepare the way, take up the stumbling block out of the way of my people. For thus saith the high and lofty one that inhabiteth eternity, whose name is holy, dwell in the high and holy place. With him also that is of a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble, and to revive the heart of the contrite ones. So this is what God's looking for. He's looking for the people that's humble, the people who's broken, who got their contrite spirits, right? But they also got to be humble too. So you can be broken and not be humble, right? That's why they both go hand in hand. You be broken and you not be humble. You can be humble, not broken. But if you humble, you should have been broken already. That's what makes you humble, right? But people don't be realizing that until they much older, later in life, and they done wasted years, wasted marriages, wasted friendships, relationships, jobs, so much because they were so into themselves, not realizing that's a form of idolatry, just being to yourself, or so into superstars, celebrities, so into all these things that don't matter, which is wickedness because you're not focused on God, not realizing God was trying to put you in this place. So then, like I said, you become brokenhearted, but you brokenhearted at your own detriment. It's not because of God, it's because of you. You did all these things to get away from God and to get away from what's right. And which by you doing that, it's caused all these problems and all these struggles in your heart, right? But like I said, God wants peace. He wants peace for people. He wants you to be fruitful. He wants you to have these things, but you can't have those things because those things don't exist outside of God. You can't have peace outside of God. Don't exist. You can't have love outside of God. Don't exist. You can't have happiness. All these things you think about, marriage, none of that exists outside of God. So if God is not involved in these things, you're not going to have it at the level you think you should. Not saying you say you think you can be happy. I think I told you that the other day, Isaiah. You think you can be happy or whatever, but you're never going to have those things outside of God because they don't exist, because they are God. You know, if God's love, you couldn't have no love outside of God. I see people all the time from the alphabet community telling me, I love this person, I love this person. I mean, I guess it depends on what you base the love off of, but I don't think you'll never have that true love and that true peace because God is not involved in this relationship. God is not involved in your daily life, right? So when you're out here, when you're doing stuff, watching TV shows, playing the game, relationship with your friends, talking politics, whatever you're doing, just think about if there's any idolatry in it and how much of it do you participate in it? Because we all participated in it before. I know I'm guilty myself, right? And just think about how it affects your daily life, what it does to you this way or what it does to you that way. Like I said, you can get things in the world and you can get anything you want, as God says, or Christ says, Christ and God say, if you ask, right? But it's also according to his will, right? So it's not according to his will, it's not beneficial for you. Yeah, you can get a Bugatti, but is this Bugatti going to actually glorify God? Not necessarily. It's going to probably glorify you. Boast you, and God ain't for that. He don't glorify men. He don't boast men. Does he give glory to men? Sure. It's a different type of glory. Does he boast up men? Sure. Does he give them praise and worship? Sure. But it's a different kind for him because he wants everything. You don't get yours without mine. So you think that you're getting praise and worship, then you've been fooled. Even the people who rule the world, or you think it's them, whoever you think rule the world, whether it was from now, back in the day, whether it was Genghis Khan, all of them, they got theirs because God gave it to them. You don't rule the world without me. You don't get this without me, and that's not really giving to God. You give it to the idols and stuff around. So as you go on with your day, and like I said, you go on for the rest of the week, starting the week tomorrow, just think about those things in the form of idolatry. Like I said, how much do you partake in it? How much do you see it and not realize that you're doing those things? And how much has it affected your life, right? If you really want peace, you really want to be with God, are you really broken? Are you really humbling yourself? Do you really see yourself as a child? You know, because in the whole book, God doesn't refer to people that are like grown men, right? He refers to them as children. Because that's what you really are as a child. Now, you want to be an adult, you want to be grown, cool. I'm going to treat you like you think you are because you know everything, whatever the case may be. But really, to God, you're like a child, right? You're not an equal. You're always going to be under him. But when you put yourself in position that God hasn't put you, it's idolatry, all right? So that was today's Sabbath lesson. Of course, y'all got to ask questions right now because, like I said, it's not the same setup. If anybody got any questions, let me know. If not, I'm going to pray out, and then I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about prayer so y'all can get the gist of it. Okay, cool. No questions. So I'm going to pray.
I got a question.
Of course you do. Dear Heavenly Father, all praise to be to you, with the AHAYAH'S. We thank you for another day. We thank you for another blessed Sabbath. We thank you for everything you've given us, your knowledge, your love, your wisdom, your grace, your mercy, your understanding, and chances. You know, just that mercy and grace of a chance to try to get it right because we're still here for a reason. You know, our time isn't up, and then while we're here, we should focus on spending more time with you and getting to know you better so we can know ourselves better and help others get to you. You know, who you win souls is wise. And we thank you for our food, our shelter, and raiment, and we just ask for a continuation to the coming Lord, our Savior, Yeshua. Amen. All right, so Purim, I'm going to get to you, Isaiah. Purim is kind of like the equivalent to Christmas. That's why I try to, you know, put it like that. So let's say you're struggling with family members and stuff like that. Hey, tell them come to Purim. You know, we can exchange gifts. We go on feasts because we always feast every time a feast happens. But it's a time to, you know, exchange gifts. Just the gift of being alive is a blessing. You know, exchange gifts, loves, hugs. But it's a substitute for people who are attached to Christmas. If you really care about giving people Christmas gifts and loves and all that other stuff and put Christ, hey, just the feast for it. Purim is that. You know, we can give each other loves. We still can honor Christ. It's not his birthday or nothing like that or when he was born. But we should honor him any day, every day, in every way. And we could do it on Purim. So Purim is on the 15th, so it's about like 20 days or so. Look at my phone. Yeah, 22 days. It's on the 15th. and we'll have it at the usual spot. I sent everybody notifications, but it's also going to be on the website, which I'm gonna post in the room and stuff later. Um, but yeah, just to get y'all, ready for that type of mindset. Like if you feel like you wanted to give a gift to per person, whoever, you get to give people outside. I've done it before, gave people outside the church. Just as that it's that time, to be thankful for what you got and exchange gifts and loves, whether it's a book, whether it's a hug, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a poem, a letter, just something to somebody during that time to understand. Like I said, and it also takes away from them being away from the pagan and holidays, right? So instead of Christmas, you can come do this. Instead of Thanksgiving, we got a dedication. It's almost like God, like I said, because He knows, right? He already had things to do for us and holidays for us, so we won't have to participate in the other things, right? But if your mind is still stuck on, oh, my family, this and that, I get it. But if you're not willing to weave it out, if you're not willing to change, are you able to be humble? Because God is not telling you can't be around family. He's not telling you can't party. He's not telling you can't have celebrations. But some of these things that we do, we just don't understand, the meaning behind them, the origin behind them. And people try to see the origin. Oh, they was killing babies. Oh, okay. Well, we don't do that. We know what they was doing, but we want to do our own thing. Why? You trying to make evil good. Don't do that. It's evil is evil. Let them have their evil, because then how can somebody see that you unholy and not holy, right? We wouldn't know. I can't tell the difference, because the same thing that you're doing, they're doing. You say you believe in God. They say they believe in gods, but y'all doing the same thing. Y'all both going to parties. Y'all both doing drugs. Y'all both doing all types of stuff. Eli sent me a video the other day about Mike Todd Church, and it was funny. It was like, we're going to do everything short of sin. Like, that's crazy. Because when somebody don't know and unlearn, that's a stumbling block. Because it's like, okay, cool, I'm at church. They doing everything. They eating any food. It's all crazy in here. God ain't really going to punish them the way He going to punish that pastor. He's not going to punish them the way the ones that see that already and still choose to be in that kind of lifestyle. All right? So that was today's, like I said, lesson. Those were the announcements. And now I'll take any questions. So what's your question, Isaiah?
So my question has to do with the idolatry. Is it any like where the I'm not saying the lines are blurred, but it's kind of like, at what point do you reach idolatry when you're putting something in your life? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, this is my favorite football team, but it's a completely different thing if you go into somebody's house. They got a flag of their football team. They got little miniature players. They got the little figures or whatever. They got pictures and photos of the stadium and all kinds of stuff. Like, at what point does the line from, oh, I like something and it's like my favorite thing I like, compared to, oh yeah, no, I really like this? Like, at what point does it cross over into idolatry?
It crossovers in idolatry when you put it before God.
Okay.
So, I'll give you an example. It's a form of worship, right? Because like religion, you don't know the word religion means worship. So it's a form of worship, right? So let's say you play basketball, right? Most people think basketball is harmless or whatever, which it is. It truly is harmless. I mean, it's just a game, it's a sport, whatever. But as if you put basketball in front of God and God is not involved with basketball, right? That's idolatry. Because you think that you're playing basketball based off of what God give you, but God is not the center of this. Basketball is the center of your life. God isn't. Because you'll put this before. So for instance, right? Let's say you know about church and all this other stuff, and then you choose to go somewhere else. So let's say church is happening, but you choose to go, I don't know, with your spouse to go somewhere, right? And it's not even important. It's more like you're going to a wedding or something like that. You think it's more important to go serve God or go celebrate somebody's wedding who God might not even approved. That's when the idolatry kicks in, because it's because remember this: obedience is better than sacrifice. right? People always talk about sacrifice this, sacrifice that. No. Obedience first, because you may not have to sacrifice nothing, but you think you do because that's what you want to do, but you sacrifice something for your own things. Like I said, idolatry becomes of the worship and the glory. Like, there's no reason why, bro, you should cry over a celebrity. If you know them personally, it's your dad or something, different situation, right? But there's no reason why I should cry over a basketball player dying and having cried and not cry about the neighbor next door the same way. I didn't say you can't cry over them, right? It's not that you can't cry, but it depends on the sense and the form of crying. So idolatry to me is not really a thin line. It just depends on, like I said, whether you overtaking it with God or you putting God over top of it. So for instance, people think idolatry and idols is always like a image, right? But the image doesn't have to be a statue. It don't got to be a person. It could be a thing. You could idolize your Xbox. We all know that's not an image. It is a thing though. It's not an image, but you can pick that over God any given time. So what I've learned is a lot of things in church is tradition. So it's not really biblical. So when you see idolatry or you hear fornication you probably think of sex. When you hear idolatry, you think of statues. But it's not about those things. It's the spiritual aspect of those things. How are you going to put this before God? How are you going to go with another God that's not God or the Most High? How do you do that? Not saying you can't do it, because people clearly do it, but how do you do it? So when you see idolatry, like I said, it's in that form. Like for instance, oh man, God ain't talking to me. What you do with God today? Nothing. You probably played the game all day. You probably spend time with your wife all day. You probably spend time with your brother, your family all day. You probably spend time binge watching TV shows all day. God wasn't in none of that. There was nothing that God did. Now, mind you, but those things really, when you look at them, they're kind of harmless. But the problem is when you add something to it. So, like a Ouija board. A Ouija board technically is harmless, right? Or like tarot cards or something like that. They technically harmless, but when you add something to it, that's what changed the dynamic. So, like I said, if you got basketball, but there is no God in it, well, if you don't got God in it, maybe you got other gods around it. Now it becomes a problem. Or when you, like I said, spending time with your family under a certain thing. I see families all the time to get together. They don't even like each other. They be hating each other's guts, but they'll get together. It's Christmas, man, show the love. So you fake for 364 days of the year. Just one day, you all of a sudden everything is love and Christmas and peaches and cream. But the other days, you probably hate this person. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a thin line, but I mean, I'll definitely put that in one of the topics to talk about. I don't think it's a thin line. I just think it depends on what do you do. Like I said, do your day. Do you ask God for help? Do you ask God to tell you what to do today? Do you ask God to pick this spouse? Do you ask God to pick this food? How often do you add God into it? And when you're not adding God into it, the more you don't, you will fall into that line of idolatry. Because like I said, now you'll start putting things before God. Just think about it, right? You're not supposed to worship images. But yet, we live in a world that's full of statues. They give statues to everybody and everything. It's always a statue. A statue of this person, a statue of this dog, a statue of, Balto. It's always a statue, bro. Rocky not even a real person, and they made a statue out of him in real life in Philadelphia. It's not even a real person, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that is idolizing. Randy, he loves Rocky. He thinks that's real. That's not real. That's not real boxing. KK will tell you that's not real boxing. But just think about that. They done made you believe in a character. First of all, he's not real, right? None of it about it is real. It's a story stolen, I think, from Muhammad Ali. None of it about it is real. But just think about how they look at this person. He will forever be in stone in people's brains because of this movie, which is all fictional. Sylvester Stallone probably can't even fight. That's idolatry, bro. At one of its highest forms. That you to forgot about God, not realizing that I'm the one who made you and everybody else. So, like I said, you can always ask God about it and, look up scriptures. I know you got Eastward or whatever, but idolatry, like I said, it's the worshiping of something. It doesn't have to be an image per se. It could be the thought of the image.
Okay.
When you put it before God. Anybody else got any questions?
How Christians worship the cross. And Catholics worship Mary and Saint
Yep.
Bernard and Saint this and
yeah,
Saint that.
because they think that has a tie to God. There is no image of God. That's why you don't see no image of God. That's why God don't have an image. That's why He never brought down the image. If anything, the image of God is Christ. He the image of the invisible God. That's God's idol or temple right there. That's the image. But there is nothing to it, because there's a thing. If you go to the Mary, or you go to a cross, like you holding your cross, bro, and kissing it and praying to it, that ain't gonna save you, boy. Like I you know what I'm saying? I watch horror movies, you know what I'm saying? And in the horror movies, they be holding the crosses up and all that. And some demons, it do affect them. Some of them, it does nothing. Because that's not what it's about. If you got the spirit, then that's a different situation. But if you don't got no spirit, it don't matter. You can say you do this, you say you do that. Like a demon was talking to one of the people in the Bible. He was talking to him and was saying, "Who are you? You not Paul, or you not Christ? I don't know you. I'm about to keep doing what I'm doing." But this person speaks about Christ. They try to do things, and the demon was like, "Yeah, you ain't it." So clearly, it's levels to it. So a cross ain't gonna help you. Garlic and all that stuff don't help you, bro. Right? It's more about they're fearing you because you got God, and they fear God. They fear Christ. They don't fear you. They fear Paul because Paul is in Christ. That's why they fear Paul. He got nothing to do with Paul. He ain't special. He ain't got no special ornaments, but he got Christ in him, and they see that. Like, well, we don't want nothing to do with him. But the rest of them, oh no, it don't work like that.
Okay, boom. I got another side question, and if that's the case, what if so you said, if anything, Christ would be the image, right? So let's say a Christian trying to go down the right path, right? And they know that Christ is black, and so they, I don't know, put in a picture, put in a frame, or I don't know, they do something to where they can have that image in front of them, and they start worshiping or praying to or idolizing that image of Christ, right? Would that still be wrong in idolization
100%.
because they're putting Christ before the Most High?
100%.
You said what?
100%, because God never asked you to do that. I told you earlier, obedience is better than sacrifice. Did God tell you to make an image?
Nah.
It says make no graven images of anything on earth and anything in heaven. So Christ is from heaven, and you made an image of Him. That's crazy. Because if God wanted to be done, He's going to do it. That's what I'm saying. So, like, for instance, when they was carrying the ark, right? They was carrying the ark, the covenant, ark of the covenant, and it was about to fall. And God said, "Don't touch the junk. If it fall, it fall. Don't touch it." He tried to catch it, and God killed him. Everybody was like, "Yeah,
by touching it."
Uzziah." Everybody was like, "Why would you do that?" But I'm like, "Yeah, because you're not listening. Obedience is key." He didn't punish Adam and Eve because they ate fruit. He punished them because they didn't listen. Obedience is key. So it's like, if I want something to be, I'm God. If I want something to be done, it's going to be done. It's going to be done, bro. So there is nothing that says worship me in the image. There's nothing that say make this or make that or whatever the case may be. But when God does want that to be done, He gives direct orders. So when He told Noah about the boat, He gave him the orders to make the boat. When he made Moses and them and Solomon all to make the temples at the time, the tabernacles, He gave them direct instructions. So the Ark of the Covenant is also in heaven too. So He gave them direct instructions of what that looked like. So all it is like a miniature version of what it is in heaven. But God gave them that. There is no directive of God saying make a statue of Christ. There's no directive of God saying make an image of me. So when you do that, yeah, that's idolatry. 100%. Because God said don't do it. Any more questions? Nobody got questions?
No.
All right, so that was today's lesson. Thank y'all for coming. I hope y'all days be blessed, filled with knowledge, wisdom, and love from God. And I hope He gives you comfort and rest, man, and so much on this day and days to come. So I thank all y'all for coming. You know you can stay around if y'all want to just chop it up regular. But thank y'all. Shalom.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.